Good afternoon. I wanted to share a devotional thought with you on this dreary Monday. The thought actually came to me yesterday evening. Last night I decided that I wanted to watch a classic John Wayne movie. And so I went to my box of DVDs with my John Wayne movies in them, and I started just going through them, and I finally decided to settle on McClintock. And in one of the scenes in that particular movie, John Wayne has gone to town and gone into a store, and someone looks at him and says, or asks, "Day off?" To which John Wayne responded, "Off day." Have you ever had an off day? Maybe it's a day like today. It's dreary, it's rainy, and the dreariness and the raininess of the day has had a negative impact on your thought process or your mindset. Maybe you woke up one morning and you weren't feeling well. You had a headache, maybe something you had eaten the night before has your stomach a little upset, and as a result, it's just not a good day. Maybe it's not that you're having an off day, but that the day is off. For example, maybe you got up, loaded the garbage into the truck, got to the dump, and realized when you got there that the dump was closed because it's Labor Day. So you decide to go home, you need to change the oil in your vehicle, you drain the oil, you get under there, you remove the oil filter, and when you take the new oil filter out of the box, you realize that it's missing the gasket. And so you have to waste at least an hour going back to the store, exchanging it for an oil filter that will actually work. And then you go to mow the yard, and the battery in the mower is dead. Or my personal favorite is when you get halfway through mowing and then it starts to rain. Off days. Even for the best of us, those types of days can be frustrating. It can be hard to maintain one's sense of humor and a positive outlook on days like that. And this entire thought process began with a line in a John Wayne movie. Day off? Off day. And then my thoughts went to Jesus. And one day in the life of Jesus specifically, it's the day before he is to go to the cross. He has had a marathon of a day. He is trying to give his closest friends, we call them the 12 apostles, he's been giving them a crash course in his final words that he wants them to know. He sits down to a Passover meal with them. He institutes the Lord's Supper. After the Lord's Supper, he goes to Gethsemane to pray, which is a whole nother lesson that we can learn. Whenever we are having off days, whenever we face a big challenge in the days or weeks to come, the appropriate thing for us to do is to go to God in prayer. But in terms of Jesus' day, he goes to Gethsemane and he prays. Now, before this day would conclude, of Jesus' 12 friends, one would betray him, one would deny him, and every single one of them would desert him. Off days. That day isn't the worst day in the life of Jesus. As I told you, this was the night before he would go to the cross. It's a very tragic story. It is a story of the depth of God's love. The Hebrew writer would say this about Jesus' life in general, but I think it certainly applies to this off day in the life of Jesus. We do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses. So if you're having an off day, if you're having a bad day, remember that Jesus had them too. He understands and he sympathizes. I don't know about you, but I like to sing. I will sing along with the radio in my truck. When I'm mowing the yard, I'll put my earbuds in and I'll listen to the music while I'm mowing. I've actually caught myself singing out loud while I was mowing my yard. Makes me wonder what my neighbors think. But I love to sing. I love to sing in worship. And if you're anything like me, you can make a mistake. You can get so caught up in loving to sing or singing the right notes that we don't always take the time to focus on the importance of the words. I want to share with you just the words of a song that I think is relevant to the message that I am sharing with you today. Are you weary? Are you heavy-hearted? Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. Are you grieving over joys departed? Tell it to Jesus alone. Do the tears flow down your cheeks unbidden? Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. Have you sins that to man's eyes are hidden? Tell it to Jesus alone. Do you fear the gathering clouds of sorrow? Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. Are you anxious? What will be tomorrow? Tell it to Jesus alone. Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. He is a friend that's well known. You have no other such a friend or brother. Tell it to Jesus alone. Off days, Jesus knows about them, and you can tell him about yours. Have a great day.